Hello everyone, it's Queen V Line back to you with another video. This video pertains to the unfortunate unaliving of 7-year-old Troy Khoeler earlier this year. It has been reported by numerous outlets that the 7-year-old was unfortunately found in a washing machine after his adoptive parents reported him missing in July of this year. His adoptive parents, Jermaine and Tiffany Thomas, were arrested and charged last month after Troy's unaliving was ruled as a homicide. Jermaine Thomas was charged with capital murder, while his wife, Tiffany Thomas, was charged with injury to a child by omission. The autopsy revealed that Troy suffered new and old injuries prior to his body being found. Court documents revealed that Troy endured horrific events prior to his unaliving, with text messages between his adoptive parents coming up with ways to unaliving young Troy by placing him in an oven, and another message blanking him from the tree. There have been numerous calls to CPS in which CPS determined that Troy's case was moderate and the case was closed in May of this year, only 4 months later in July for Troy to become unalive. Court documents also describe the deep hatred for young Troy by his parents when they allegedly intentionally harmed Troy until he became unalive. The thread between the couple revealed that they wanted to harm him because he ate some of their snacks. Now you will watch these 2 brief news clips and I will be back with more commentary.
Troy Khoeler. His body was found inside a washing machine at his spring home back in July. His adoptive parents, Jemaine and Tiffany Thomas, now charged in connection with his death.
The complainant's death was ruled a homicide due to homicidal violence. The autopsy found the complainant had suffered from asphyxiation, possible drowning. The complainant suffered both remote and new blunt force trauma that was indicative of inflicted trauma.
Jemaine is charged with capital murder and Tiffany is charged with injury to a child by omission. Troy was reported missing on Thursday, July 28, but investigators say the child never left his home. Officials have surveillance video of Troy playing hide and seek by himself in the front yard the day before he was murdered. We spoke to Jermaine Thomas back in July, who says Troy was not inside the home when he got off work.
Came home, just like I'm finna walk in the door right now. I don't have my keys, but I put my key in the door and then the door open. But anything else after that, I don't know.
Investigators also reviewed text messages from the couple's cell phone that describe how they were going to kill the little boy because he ate their snacks.
She, quote, threatened to put him in the stove and turn it on.
Attention to Texas lawmakers to ask them how this could happen to this child and what can be done to make sure it does not happen again. As we approach the start of a new legislative session, lawmakers vowing to zero in on CPS and how to protect our children. But when asked about the failures that led to the death of 7-year-old Troy Khoeler, overwhelming silence.
Our public officials need to have the courage to say, we're going to do more, we're going to step up on this issue.
We reached out to Governor Abbott and every member of the State Senate Special Committee on CPS. No one would comment except for Chairwoman Lois Kolkhorst. In a statement, the state senator told us in part, My heart aches for another child lost to abuse. This is yet another stark reminder of the need for serious reforms in this agency. Our legislative committee made a number of recommendations, including ways to improve the training and processes for investigating criminal abuse allegation. But child advocates say they've heard this before. The public needs to demand real change.
As a state, we claim to care about kids, but when we see these deaths happening, it begs the question, do we really care about our kids?
And just in tonight, a statement in response from Senator Boris Miles. He tells us in part that the death of Troy Khoeler is a tragedy and was the result of a systemic failure of the state. Unfortunately, this is not the first reported case of abuse with children that CPS has investigated with little to no action taken to protect the child. The ugly and unfortunate truth is that these kids are in the care of the state, and the state's leadership needs to face the facts. CPS is broken, and we need to tear it down and rebuild it. We will have both of these state senators' statements in full on KHU.com shortly. As for the suspects in this murder case, they are both due back in court in February.
This story is heartbreaking on so many levels. The warning signs were there, and Troy Khoeler unfortunately became another statistic. It is the state's responsibility to ensure that every child is protected. I know that we are currently in a pandemic. I understand that. And I understand that there are persons who are willing to take care of children. But the government needs to do a better job, and CPS needs to do a better job of doing a thorough background checks on persons adopting these children and fostering these children. The fact that there were multiple signs that Troy was being injured, and it was classified as being low and moderate, and repeatedly this child is being injured. Even if Troy was giving different explanations onto what was occurring, it is the duty of CPS to ensure that the child is protected. This is negligence. Once again, we have adults who blatantly disregarded this child's cry, this child's scars, this child's injuries. The fact that there are adults who were willingly writing down moderate risk and low risk, and come to find out this child was literally being abused to the point where his body was found in a washing machine. There needs to be an investigation on Troy Khoeler's caseworker or caseworkers, because if they dropped the ball on Troy, how many more children have they disregarded their scars, disregarded their explanations? There needs to be a state and a federal investigation. Too many of our children are losing their lives because adults are not paying attention to the scars. If CPS would hire more people and train more people into understanding the symptoms and signs of child abuse, maybe Troy would be alive today. We are literally witnessing our futures being taken away by adults who cannot handle their temperament. I understand that there are persons who do not want to be parents, but do not volunteer to become a foster or an adoptive parent and abuse your authority to a child. And we also have parents allowing their partners to abusing their child or children. Silence is no longer an excuse, as our children are losing their lives. I will leave in the comments and description below for organizations and hotlines regarding child abuse. Say their names, known and unknown. Protect black children. Justice for black children. Justice for Troy Khoeler. Please be safe out here, and I will see you in the next video.